We are recording! Hello.
Recording.
This is the first Backseat critique in fucking ages, since like Jupiter Ascending, and the first one featuring Robyn since...
Forever.
What was the last one you did?
Oh god, I don't know.
It was before As Above, So Below, anyway.
Yeah.
Probably Viking... No, Viking. We watched Vikingdom, but we didn't...
We kind of did a Backseat critique on it.
Oh yes, we did upstairs with my... Yeah, that must have been it.
That doesn't really count, we didn't go to the cinema.
Yeah, it was a DVD one, but it was fucking worth it.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, we're using Omega's camera, so that explains why the visuals are not quite as good as mine. However, the audio is much better, much less of the of mine.
You can almost hear my full range of tone.
And did you see the Twitter message where someone was all like, American, not speak so fast so Americans can understand, y'all? Did you see that?
No, I missed that one.
Well, someone did request it, so...
Well, I always get requested not to talk so low, so for the rest of the critique, I will be speaking at this pitch.
So, mysterious Twitter person, tweet with your feelings on whether they spoke too fast or too slow, or whatever.
My career is talking on the telephone. Judge me.
We saw Cinderella.
Cinderella, Cinderella, make a dress for Cinderella.
And I gotta say, okay, the trailers looked like a big piece of shit.
They did. They looked
And,
awful.
part of me was expecting a big piece of shit, but Kenneth Branaghs is one of my favorite directors because he's so doesn't give a fuck eccentric with his choices.
He's like early Tim Burton.
So I was hopeful, and I gotta say, this is the best live-action Disney adaptation of a Disney animated film that I have seen. You know, only other ones I can think of off the top of my head are Alice in Wonderland and Maleficent, but maybe because this is an actual adaptation and not like
a reboot
or a skewed retelling or something.
Let's make one of the best evil characters in all of Disney the good girl.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Maleficent.
So, overall, initial impressions, it was unexpectedly good, unexpectedly faithful, and if you survive the first 5 to 10 minutes, which are incredibly clawing, it's as though Kenneth Branaghs like, I want to see who I can, force out of the cinema in like a sugar sickness or something. But then after that, it improved greatly whenever evil people turned up and horrible shit started happening to Cinderella.
It was like the first bit was done in HDI with Vaseline on the lens.
Everything's so nice and happy, and it's like,
and bright and colourful.
I want everyone to fucking die at that point. Eventually it got better when people did start to die.
Yeah.
But
Quite a few people died.
Yeah. I gotta say, it was... We're venture into... You tell your impressions, then we venture into spoiler territory, where we be funny about the whole thing.
I know that all opinions are obviously... What's the word? Not for, like, biased.
I mean, everything's opinionated? Not objective?
Yes,
Subjective?
opinions are by nature subjective. But because I went into this expecting a giant turd, wrapped up in some nice wrapping paper, I was surprised that it wasn't, therefore I think it was a very good film. It's not going in any of my top 10 lists or top 50 lists, but it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Now the translation for Robyn, for you Americans who think that they're talking too fast, Robyn wanted to have sex with everyone on screen.
No, I wanted to steal the coats of everyone on screen.
And have sex with their prone bodies after you stole them. We understand.
They don't have to be prone, some of them can be upright.
I gotta say, I was really, really, okay, one of the wonderful things about Branaghs films is his casting. You know, look at his version of Hamlet.
He has a cast and he keeps them.
Yeah, he reuses them, he tries to get as many famous people as he can into a film, and it's usually wonderful, and I was really hoping Brian Blessed would turn up, but no Brian Blessed. Cry! But...
There was a discount Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, Ben Chaplin turned up, and he looked like Bruce Campbell towards the end of his time on the film. It's like, nice to see Ben Chaplin. I haven't seen him in something in ages. I think the last big film I saw him in was The Truth About Cats and Dogs, and, you know, he's aged 20 years in the last 20 years. It's an achievement.
Not like a few other actors we could mention, like Patrick Stewart, who's aged 0 years in the last 20 years.
Well, Leslie Nielsen did that one too.
And, what do you call him? The guy who can't act. Keanu Reeves.
That's true, yeah. Johnny Depp's a similar thing. Just some people stay young. But, and Ben Chaplin's, Jen Chaplin was Cinderella's father. And her mother was played by, what do you call her? Captain America's girlfriend, Agent Carter. Haley Atwell. I did not recognize her until we saw the end credits, and I was like, ooh.
I recognized her. I'm terrible at faces, and fans of Backseat Critique will know this. I don't really give a shit about celebrities. But I recognized her face and I couldn't place it.
Aww.
I just thought, oh, it's an actress. I must have seen her in something else.
I spent ages trying to work out who the fucking prince was. I finally decided it was probably some guy who had a bit part in Game of Thrones.
Well, he was very blue-eyed.
Guy looked like a fucking Fremen. But, and Cinderella, I have no idea who the fuck that was, but like the main character in a lot of these films, they dyed her hair and forgot to dye her eyebrows.
Yeah, Daenerys Targaryen syndrome.
Yeah. Plus, wait. Was Cinderella meant to be blonde, was she?
Yeah, Cinderella was blonde.
Okay.
Much like Sleeping Beauty.
The dad! The king! The prince's dad. Derek fucking Jacobi wearing the same fucking costume as he did in Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet. So it's like, oh, this is like an alternate reality version of it. I want to see Kenneth Branagh like have sex with Kenneth Branagh. I want to see Derek Jacobi have sex with Kate Blanchett and like murder people, and then, you know, the prince stabs him in the fucking chest. Everything would be fucking great.
It was a very good death scene. Derek
Jacobi's death scene?
Yeah, I genuinely mean that.
It's like, oh look, oh king, you're dying. Oh well, I'm gonna have a party. Ooh, I'm Derek Jacobi at a party. 3 hours later, oh!
It just, death scenes are overdone, and there's something it really gets to you, and somebody's like, I'm dying. Over dramatic, I'm dying. It was just like, well, now I'm dead. Oh, Dad, I'm so sorry. And then he was in the fetal position. Come on, it's not subtle, but it was good.
That's Branagh for you. He's very operatic in his direction.
Yeah.
This was more subtle than quite often he does. Like, Branagh's the guy who directed a film adaptation of Mozart's The Magic Flute, done in full opera with surrealist images, and the surreal script, including a guy leaping into a giant set of floating lips, written by Stephen Fry.
I can't remember. There's something floating in the back of my head, and it was a meme about Kenneth Branagh.
He loves spinning the camera. He didn't spin the camera much in this one. I was horrified.
No, never a full 360.
Yeah, although the character spun in the frame, so that was probably his, callback to it. It's like, it's like, I can't move the camera. Everyone move around me. Yeah.
Especially in the dancing sequences.
I'd seen Derek Jacobi turn up in a Branagh film and not play a horrible person, who at one point is pretending to be nice, was, a big change, after Dead Again and Hamlet, Sorry, I am a big fan of Kenneth Branagh's film directing.
I'm just a big fan of him because he's from here.
He doesn't give a fuck. It's wonderful. It's like,
He was a very good director.
Plus he's got this tendency, he has an idea of what sort of film he wants to make, and sometimes he will just write a script that's not at all appropriate for it, or he'll grab another script and he'll just say, alright, I'm going to wrap this script in this other genre. Like, his version of Hamlet is an epic film. Hamlet's not an epic play, but he directed the film as an epic. That's why it's 4 hours long. That's why it was filmed in like 70mm film. So it's fucking massive, almost IMAX sized. He's got like thousands of people in it. Did you know that in Hamlet, while the action's going on, Norway is invading Denmark?
Yes.
Okay, a lot of people don't know that.
A lot of people don't, but I studied Hamlet before my GCSE.
Yeah, and this is the only version of the film where this actually is definitely happening. And you've got battle scenes. It's like Hamlet's like, Kenneth Branagh was like, I want to make an epic film, 1960s sort of Waterloo style. But I'm going to put it around a Shakespeare play that has no reason for it.
It's my second favourite adaptation of Hamlet.
It was really good. Brian Blessed, spends the entire film whispering and he's still loud. It was awesome.
I am Brian Blessed!
It's really sad he didn't turn up in this. There was a town crier.
The town crier, or the guy is like, welcome the princess of whatever land. And it's like, that's a perfect role for Brian Blessed.
I'm pretty sure the guy they got was Alexander McQueen, who's currently playing the Master in the Big Finish Doctor Who's. And I'd never seen him acting before, but I recognised him, and should have been Brian Blessed, but he did okay.
Yeah, he did okay. If they had Brian Blessed doing that, they could have had the Princess of Gordon's alive.
Yeah. Plus, it would have made up for the fact that Brian Blessed was originally cast as Odin in Thor, but then Marvel or someone basically forced him to replace him with Anthony Hopkins. I really don't understand why. It's like, no one goes to see a superhero film because Anthony Hopkins is in it. Really, no one does.
I know, but Hollywood has this thing of, it doesn't matter how good our film is, as long as we have a big-name actor in it. I know, let's make a turd and put Benedict Cumberpot in it.
Brian Blessed is so good. Plus, did you ever see his version, Kenneth Branagh's version of Love, Labour, Lost?
No.
That's the one starring Matthew Lillard and the guy from Bone Kickers, the black guy from Bone Kickers, and it's a fucking 1930s musical. And it's not even a case of where they've written songs based on the words in Shakespeare. No, they literally have bits of the play, and they segue into 1930s songs with musical numbers. It's fucking insane, but Branagh's like, yeah, this is my jam, bitch.
New headcanon. Kenneth Branagh played Gilderoy Lockhart in Harry Potter films.
He did, but it should have been Alan Cumming.
Gilderoy Lockhart has achieved great success by talking to people who defeated evil beasts, then erasing the memory and claiming he did it.
Okay.
Kenneth Branagh doesn't direct films. He goes up, he found a load of scripts Tim Burton wrote years ago and he's just erased his memory.
Possibly. But my point about him wrapping film scripts around other types of films, this one is clearly an early Tim Burton film. Yeah. As in, before self-parody Tim Burton. This is, before, say... Well, people have different opinions on when Tim Burton became shit. My view is that it was before Big Fish. And he's had the odd bright spark after that, but generally before Big Fish, good, after Big Fish, bad.
I liked Big Fish, but it gave me just... I get bored halfway through the film, but I still enjoy it. It's too long for what it is.
Fair enough. But imagine, Branagh's like, I want to do early Tim Burton doing a Disney movie. And it is. He's even got Helena Bonham Carter in it, and I, for some reason, thought that Branagh and Carter had a fairly tempestuous breakup after, because they were together for a while, and I was genuinely surprised to see her turn up as the fairy godmother. I was like, good work. I'm glad that they're working together again. But possibly Branagh was just like, Helena, if you hadn't divorced me, you could have been appearing in my films all the time instead of Tim Burton's ones. Look at me, I'm out Tim Burtoning Tim Burton. In a Northern Irish accent.
Look at me, I'm out Tim Burton and Tim Burton.
Yeah, right, mate.
Sorry, I must slow that down. Are you alright, mate? That's Australian. If you slow a Northern Irish person down, they're Australian.
Someone must test this.
No, the film was very, very good. One of the things that I really liked in the film was the colour palette. It's something I'm noticing a lot more in non-Marvel movies, and even some of the Marvel movies now, is that everything is brown and grey.
Marvel films have a tendency to be very bright, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Apart from the Marvel films, apart from one or two places, everything is brown and grey. In these
Thor: The Dark World was brown, but that was expected. There was a lot of mud in it.
It's the Dark World. But, yeah, I liked this film. There was lots of bright colours. There was different variants on the same bright colours for different moods, and just lots of little directorial tricks that she knows more about than I do, just using filters and shit. But I like colour in film. It's so expressive. Having a film where you're restricting yourself to brown and grey and everything is muddy or khaki green, it's like, just piss off. You may as well have a film with the fucking speakers turned off.
Some of the costumes in this, the very bright ones, especially Cate Blanchett and the Ugly Sisters, they looked like they were designed by the woman who did the costumes for Tarsem Singh's movies. Now, she died before Mirror Mirror, so it definitely wasn't her, but definitely looked inspired by her sort of stuff. She did costume design for The Cell, Bram Stoker's Dracula, The Fall, Immortals, and Mirror Mirror. And I think they're the only films she costume designed for, but I can definitely see similarities.
I can see similarity, and I don't know what she worked on.
I loved her costume design. They were a bit like Tim Burton. If you see them, the first few times you see them, they're really, really striking. But then the more you see them, you realise she has very few different ideas, but she constantly recycles them.
On the point of costuming there was a lot of men in very, very tight trousers and beautiful jackets.
Yeah, they're very tight. That was historically accurate.
Oh, historically.
Unusually historically accurate for Branagh. He's usually like, I'm going to stick anachronisms in there just to confuse the audience. Ha ha ha.
The biggest anachronism I saw was the hairstyles. The Evil Stepmother was clearly wearing a hairstyle that was popular during the 1940s, because that's when it was first created. And the stepsisters were variants of very recent stuff. But apart from that, a lot of the set dressing and stuff was very, very close. Well, depending on where it's supposed to be set, history tells us Germany, but there were lizards.
He put anachronisms in there. He had Japanese interior design. He had maps of Asia in there. You had little geckos going in there. Everyone seemed to be dressed Central European. But that's part of the course for Branagh.
Yeah, but this movie was like a jacket fetish thing for me. It was just
so many cod pieces.
But everything the Prince wore, I want in my wardrobe. Just I like like she likes it too. Not she, you. I'm sorry, that's really rude. But jackets, man.
I liked. Didn't think any of the jackets were perfect, but they were good, and they looked historically accurate. The two stepsisters look like actors that I recognized, but they were like 30 years too young. One of them looks just like Miranda Richardson. It was weird. It was
and
like,
acts like her too.
yeah. I want to see a film remake of Blackadder II starring her as Queen Elizabeth. It'd be fucking amazing. Or having her and, get Miranda Richardson and have them play some sort of, like, time travel movie, They look exactly the same and they sound the same, they act the same. It's like holy fuck.
She would be a very good casting choice to ever do that version of Queen Elizabeth II. The first again, not the second. Forgive me.
Miranda Richardson could play Queen Elizabeth II and she could play Queen Elizabeth I, and they team up to battle werewolves.
Wasn't that already made?
Probably. Then let's change it to leprechauns.
Well, that would be historically accurate.
There we go. New film idea.
Metaphors in there about queens teaming up to kick the shit out of the Irish.
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong side of the Irish divide to say that.
You can give context if you want to that comment. Americans will be like, "What? Do you live like in the Aran Islands?"
I live in Northern Ireland. This is not a nation at war, thank you, America. Don't say that ever again. But it's a nation that's divided in and of itself whether or not it should belong to either the south of Ireland or the United Kingdom of Great Britain.
Ironically, the most northerly part of the island of Ireland is in the south of Ireland.
Yes, it is.
Very Irish, that.
But I come from a family that believe that Ireland should remain part of the UK. So me going on about the British coming over here and kicking our asses is odd. If you know the context.
Well, I got angry at Twitter a few days whenever St. Patrick's Day happened, because you had people talking about how, complaining about people wearing orange on St. Patrick's Day.
I got very angry on Tumblr about that, and I posted a few things that have now been deleted because they were pointed out that I came across as very, very rude and incorrect about some things.
Well, I got angry because the implication was that orange cannot be an Irish colour whenever...
It is on the flag.
Yeah, it's on the flag, plus Unionists in Northern Ireland are still Irish. They're just Irish and British. Right. The idea that they cannot be Irish and the idea that you've got to be from the Republic of Ireland or be a nationalist to be Irish is ridiculous.
Well, the thing that set me off, and you can edit this out if you want, was the fact that somebody said if you wear orange on St. Patrick's Day, you're in support of the Orange Order. Which I went on a rant about how ridiculous that is.
That's really fucking ridiculous.
And I also went on a bit of a rant about how people...
What about Orange Order lodges in the Republic of Ireland? Because there's at least 2 or 3.
Oh yeah, there is. I also went on a rant.
Are they not allowed to?
People saying that Ulster Scots is a made-up language.
Well, it is.
Yes, but it has actual origin.
It's
not as simple as...
It has an origin. You might call it a dialect. It's not a language, though. It's basically speaking English with a very, very thick, old-school Scottish accent.
Yes.
So it's not a language. It's a dialect.
I know, but one of the things I've seen posted a lot on Twitter recently is that it was invented in a response to people trying to press for more Gaelic on the signs. It was perhaps...
It wasn't invented then.
It
was... Yeah, the people got behind it because of that. It definitely wasn't invented then. It's... A lot of the people who came over to settle here 400 years ago were Scottish.
Yeah. It's called the Scottish Plantation of Ulster.
And it's possible, I suppose, that Ulster Scots is a more accurate... it's like a relic, as in it hasn't evolved naturally over 400 years since that happened, so therefore it could actually be closer to the original way that the Scottish people spoke at the time.
If you can have Roald Dahl's entire bibliography released in Scots in Scotland, you can at least admit that Ulster Scots exists.
Well, Scots, I mean Scots Gaelic?
No, I mean Scots is in the language that people say Ulster.
I've come across, I've come across a couple of books. That's not a language either. That's speaking Scottish, that's writing Scottish in a thick Scottish accent.
Yes. Yet Roald Dahl's books have been released in it. They renamed the Twits the Egypts.
I guess I have a little bit of a strict definition of what constitutes a language.
Linguistically, it would be called a Creole, because it does have words that differ, although whether or not they're slang or actual terms.
Okay. Is Creole, is it like a dialect?
Somewhere between a dialect and something that's forming a language.
Okay, fair enough. See that? Diversions!
We're watching that later.
Yeah, we're watching Insurgent tomorrow night with Omega.
Oh, that's gonna be not fun.
It's gonna be shit.
Anyway, back to Cinderella. It was fucking alright.
The glass slippers were incredibly CGI.
Well, you can't actually have glass slippers.
You could if it was the right kind of glass.
Yes, but they've. I can't even remember who done it, but somebody.
Maybe Mythbusters?
It wasn't Mythbusters. Somebody done something very similar to Mythbusters though, and just proved just how ridiculously awkward glass slippers would be.
Well, I imagine they would be awkward, yeah, but I think they would be possible, probably.
I was a bit annoyed that they were glass high heels instead of glass slippers.
Yeah, they're not slippers if they're high-heeled.
Yeah, they have
Good
to
catch.
be close to pumps.
Well, does it mean the ruby slippers are possible too? Although trying to shape diamondy type stuff into shoes would be difficult.
It's a lot of work with a chisel.
Yeah, and if you do one wrong thing...
He kicked the football the wrong way.
Oh, okay. Through the entire film, Cinderella is friends with these amazing CGI mice, and they have names. She has conversations with them. You know, a bit like in the actual animated film.
They shared the names with the ones in the animated films and certain characteristics.
Yeah, but then the fairy godmother's like, "I'm going to turn the mice that you're friends with into horses, and you'll have no contact with them. And then we'll turn these two lizards that randomly came around, geckos, the sort of ones I came across in fucking Thailand, who live apparently in Central Europe. They're yet again confusing us about where this is set. You had them got turned into footmen, and you had a goose turned into the coachman, and it's like." She has the relationship with the mice, and yet the mice don't get to be the ones that she talks to when they're humans. It's fucking ridiculous. It was
a bit silly. It was definitely a throwback. In the original cartoon, it was the mice that were the horses. And correct me if I'm wrong about this, internet, please, but I believe it was a horse who was turned into one of the humans, which just confused me even further.
Yeah, it's
been years since I watched Cinderella.
I suppose it could have just been an eccentric directorial choice by Kenneth Branaghs, because he does that. He's like he's constructed from them.
I also like the transformation sequence. One of the mistakes that you sometimes see in adaptations of something that was a cartoon is shot-by-shot remakes of something that happened.
You got pissed off at this.
I didn't get pissed off. I was like, that's a shot-by-shot remake, rah! But it showed a lot of restraint that I only really did that one time.
Well, plus, have you ever seen the shot-by-shot remake of Psycho?
Yes.
At least Kenneth Branagh didn't, introduce someone masturbating to the shot. Shot-by-shot remake of Psycho is fascinating from a cinematic point of view, and I've seen a lot of people saying, why was it done, what's the point, and then, Gus Van Sant saying, it had to be done, so now it's been done, no one has to be done it. And Gus Van Sant was really, really confusing about why he did it, but I can totally understand why, actually, after seeing it and the original. It shows how the difference of a director, with the same shots, and the same timing, and the same editing, can make two totally different films in the way that they feel. In that, original good, Gus Van Sant's one, very not. It just shows that their differences occur even if you do everything else the same, and it was fascinating from a cinematic point of view.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tangentify anymore. We watched Frozen as a short as well.
Yeah, there was a Frozen short at the start, and I liked Frozen. I'm not going to lie, it wasn't as good as Tangled, but I liked Frozen.
I never seen Frozen.
This short was not up to par.
This was the first time I'd seen anything to do with Frozen, and I gotta say, I'm getting a Rizzoli and Isles type feeling about this, and I'll explain that by, whenever I watch Rizzoli and Isles, I've only seen parts of episodes. It doesn't make any sense to me, because clearly the two main women are fucking, yet in this show, they're not fucking. They're apparently heterosexual, and they're not fucking, but clearly they're fucking. And with this, it was like, Elsa and Anna are clearly fucking, yet the animated thing doesn't seem to realize this.
They were betrayed as very in love. It is a common ship. It's like the Double Pines ships and stuff like that.
And was it deliberate? Because Disney doing deliberate sort of lesbian subtext to a relationship, that is unexpected. But incest lesbian thing, it can't be deliberate, can it?
I don't know if it's deliberate. I think maybe somewhere in the production staff, somebody looked at it and goes, nah, the kids will just see it as being a close friendship. Gotta remember how the media betrays this. Kristen Stewart is, or was recently, in a lesbian relationship. This was all over the media as she's still not over, what's he called, Shovelface.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson.
She's still not over, the breakup with Robert Pattinson.
Kristen Stewart, did she play the blonde one or the brown-haired one?
The main character in Twilight.
I know. She was the main character in Frozen. Was she the blonde or the brown?
Oh, no. This is a completely tangential thing.
I'm pretty sure she was in Frozen. I looked at the cast list, and she was. I think her name was one of the ones there.
Well, regardless if she is not, she was recently in.
Tell us whether Kristen Stewart was in Frozen.
She was recently in a lesbian relationship. Now, this was never announced, but the press were like following her by and being like, look at these two girls who are friends walking along the beach holding hands. Look at them sharing a friendship kiss. Maybe if they stay close together, they'll go to a church and have a friendship ceremony and live in the same house for the rest of their lives, because they're friends. The media is still incredibly terrified of healthy homosexual relationships. So, maybe
yeah, but there's a difference in that where you got people just, they're adding their own subtext or lack of subtext. With this, Frozen, this is like Frodo and Sam shit. You know, at least Tolkien lived decades and decades and decades and decades ago, whenever, you know, it was illegal. And you know, so you can it was so uncommon that he would definitely not be expected to realize what he was writing, or at least in our context. I mean, the context then was different. This is modern. We have all that extra context flowing around, and she's still coming up with Tolkien shit.
Yeah, well, it's one of the key things of Anna's character is a sort of attachment disorder, but pure devotion to her sister, simply because her sister. Plot summary: her sister finds out she has magic, almost kills her sister, so they take her to magic trolls who delete Anna's memories, and then Elsa just hides in a room for years, not talking down at all, just completely cuts her out, and Anna stays outside her door knocking and knocking to be let in because she misses her sister. So it is a fucked up relationship from the start. I do see exactly where you're coming from. They looked like they were
They had wedding cake. The cake had little statues of them as though they were a couple in various things, including, like, you know, embracing, and, you know, looked like one of them looked like they were kissing.
No, they were shots taken out of Frozen.
I don't care.
Points in the film. Anna sacrificed herself in the end to save Elsa's life, and that was the act of true love that melted her frozen heart.
Lesbian incest. Now do your incest rhyme.
Incest is the best. Put your sister to the test. With your right hand on her chest, you betray your family crest.
You see, that's what they did. But because this camera has its quirks, we have a couple of minutes before it'll go and do something stupid, so we might as well round this up.
Go and see Cinderella. If you enjoy Disney stuff, or you enjoy interesting films, it's alright.
Not enough Brian Blessed.
None.
Not at all Brian Blessed.
None.
Yeah.
But
sad.
The Frozen short at the start isn't worth going to see the film for, so even if you are a Frozen fan, don't bother.
Oh yeah. The cinema was almost completely packed. I was shocked because we had a bunch of kids in the cinema, but there were 3 fucking kids movies on today at the same time. SpongeBob SquarePants, Home, and this. It's like, I expected this to be the least popular of the 3.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
One of the things that really told me this film wasn't going to be very good was the fact that they were advertising more of the Frozen short at the start than they were the film. Disney only puts shorts at the starts of films they think are going to drop, or if they're Pixar. I miss the old Pixar shorts.
Oh yeah, I got another reason to dislike Frozen. They're destroying the Maelstrom ride at Disney World and replacing it with a Frozen ride.
Really? I heard rumours about that ages ago.
Yeah, they're getting rid of it, and it's like, I loved Maelstrom. It was a Viking Pirates of the Caribbean. Now it's going to be all like, yeah, fuck you.
Well, if you email the BBC and tell them to make a Viking Pirates of the Caribbean, they'd have to. I'll do it too. That way, they've got 2 members of the population who pay licensing fees interested.
Anyway, before we go, there is one Kenneth Branagh film on my list to review. It's in my extended review list, which is about 200 films. Please, in the comments, suggest what you think it is. I might mention what it is at some point.